Many of us grow plants in the ground, in the garden, but many of us also grow them in containers. Now, there's a new way of growing plants that's gaining lots of interest, and we're lucky to have the person who's refined some of these techniques with us, Richard Tyson, our County Extension Director. Richard, thanks for being with us here, and you've made the set smell great. Let me tell you, this is basil, and we have a hydroponics system. What actually is hydroponics?
Hydroponics is growing plants without soil. Now, you have water systems and you have media systems, and the water systems, of course, don't use any soil at all, and the media systems might use perlite or vermiculite or pine bark and peat moss.
And we have some of these right here that we can show everybody.
And these are all available in garden centers. This is the perlite.
Perlite there.
It's white and vermiculite in the middle, and then the combination of pine bark and peat. So those are common hydroponic media system, you use in the media system.
Yeah. Now, this would be used to start the plants in or to get the plants going?
Well, generally you could start them in there, but we usually like to use transplants. We like to either grow our own or go out and buy transplants in the store and then put them in the system. It makes it a lot more efficient than to try to grow from a seed to a transplant size, which might take 30, 45 days, as opposed to just going ahead and grab something that looks good and go ahead and get it into the system and get it growing.
I guess what we're saying, we put the plant in here and then it sits into a floating system. Is that what happens?
It could. Okay. This one could be sitting in a floating system, or you could do a sub-irrigation system if you wanted to add water and nutrients to this and let it just wick up into the media. That's another possibility.
Okay, but the plant is sitting in a pot.
In this case, in the media systems, yes, it's sitting in some kind of pot.
Okay, now we have what we call a floating system in front of us there?
This is a floating raft system, and I pulled these out of our floating gardens at the exploration gardens at the extension office this morning. This is a lettuce that's in a net pot,
lettuce, yeah.
And you would basically grab a transplant, and of course the container size doesn't matter. You could put it in almost any container.
That's a beautiful head of lettuce.
It is. It's ready to go.
You grow great lettuce.
You can buy these little net pots and you put a transplant in them.
You hold one of those up here so everybody can see what it looks like. And you say net pot because it has the holes in the side and everything.
And then you can buy a styrofoam float it's almost about 2 inches wide or 2 inches deep. You drill holes in there, and then when you put your transplant in it, you just drop it in here, and then this is what floats on the hydroponic system, and you usually have about 8 to 12 inches of water.
Okay, now you would get this from a do-it-yourself store.
That's
so this
correct.
Is nothing fancy about this here.
No.
And how big are the holes that you put in here?
It depends on the size of the net pot.
Okay.
So it could range anywhere from 2 to 3 inch holes.
Okay, and you just drill those?
Yes, you can drill those with a keyhole saw that you can also get at hardware stores.
Okay.
So all of this you can buy with local materials. There's about half a dozen hydroponic stores in Orlando that sell these net pots.
Oh, okay.
So everything is available.
Yeah.
If you want to just grab a transplant there.
Yeah, let me just show this floating system here, this portion here.
We've got a crop of basil, right here that's pretty mature.
Wow, look at that.
This took about 60 days from transplant.
Tilt it just the other way a little bit so everybody can see the roots down there too coming through. So you just have a transplant that you set in there.
Put the transplant into one of those holes, make sure that it's going to touch the water because it has to wick up. And then in a situation like this where you're going to grow a big crop, you wouldn't plant every hole, every other hole to give it time to spread out. But this is ready to harvest and use right now.
I love it, just floating back and forth. That's why they call it a floating system. Now, I remember you started this a long time ago. I remember using even a little kiddie pool one time to do that. Yeah. So the transplant will go into this or in one of those systems. You have some transplants. That you
can put that right in.
Can you buy these? Let me show everybody what I was doing there one more time. There's a transplant. This is in spun cotton or whatever.
That's rock wool.
Rock wool, yeah, there you go. And you just put it down the side, and then you set it
into the system that barely touches. Remember, you just barely touch the water, so you're wicking it up. You're not submerging it, and that's why it survives well, gets plenty of oxygen, because it's just barely touching the water.
And you're going to have to grow these yourself probably if you want them.
Well, I tried to find 6-pack vegetable transplants in the garden centers for this program, and I couldn't find them. So what I did was I bought a 6-pack of begonias, which would also work in a system like this. And you can grab, if the root ball's intact like this, you can just stick it right in and set it in the system.
And it's going to take off.
Just set, you don't want to submerge it, but just the bottom touching the water and it'll take off.
It's not going to have any problem.
Right. Now, the best plants to grow in these systems are leafy salad crops and herbs. Those would be my recommendations. You can't grow a big tomato plant in here because it just doesn't have enough room and it won't do well.
Richard, guess what? We're out of time, but we do have a publication that people can pick up, and you can pick it up and get this from your extension service. Richard Tyson, Thank you very much. We're out of time as usual, but
Thank
all
you very
great
much, Tom.
information.
Pleasure.
And if you're interested in hydroponics, this is a neat way to do it. It's an easy way to do it, and you get all the information you need from your extension office. Give them a call. That's neat.